fellow collectors, and welcome to Long's Toys. Today we are taking a look at Deluxe Class Axlegrease from the Transformers Legacy Evolution line from Hasbro, and it looks like this is the mold that's going to be used for the upcoming Lockdown figure for that Walmart exclusive Star Raiders line. And I think it's a pretty good choice. I think the vehicle mode is definitely, very close to Lockdown's alt mode, and I think that's what they ultimately went with this. But a lot of us thought originally it was going to be Chase from the first wave of Legacy United, due to the fact that he had those exhaust ports, and he kind of already comes with a capture claw type, weapon that's somewhat similar to the hook hand that Lockdown has, and also just the fact that you can kind of extend the legs. And Lockdown is a lankier figure, so they thought maybe they would utilize that. But they decided to go with this, and like I said, I do think it is the right choice. But I was going through my stuff the other day, and I realized I never got around to reviewing Axlegrease, and I had to rectify that. So here we are. Very excited for this. It was the first, and I think only Decepticon Junkion in Evolution, and also I believe the only female Junkion that was released. That's also cool. I love the color scheme for this. I think this is really cool. Now, this in itself is a remold of Scrap Hook, which I have right here. And we'll bring him in a little bit later on to do a comparison once we get Axlegrease out of the box. But they've already taken that mold and remolded it into this, and now they're making Lockdown out of it. So definitely getting their use out of the Scrap Hook mold. Plus, we saw it as Tow Line from Car Robots. So again, totally getting their use out of this mold. But yeah, this looks really cool. I'm excited to take a look at this. We have some nice artwork here on the side of the box. Some nice artwork of the vehicle mode here right on front. We have the plastic-free packaging, so there's no window here. You can just touch the figure. It has the tie in there. Have a QR code on the top for the tech specs. You have half of the standard mural here on the side. Not really anything going on the bottom, and if we spin around to the back, we have some nice product shots of the robot mode and the vehicle mode. Of course, this is kind of like the weaponizer style type figure where you can take it all apart and use it as different pieces. I like the idea of giving Crash Bar a sidecar here. I think that's kind of neat. I'm not going to show that off in this video. I feel like you guys know that by now. You can take the pieces apart. I showed it in the Scrap Hook video I did, and it's very much the same principle. So I'm just going to do the robot mode and the transformation to vehicle mode and all that kind of good stuff. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and get Axlegrease out of the packaging here, and we'll take a closer look. So here is Axlegrease out of the packaging, and first thing I should mention, mine came a little misassembled. So for whatever reason, the mushroom peg here in the arm was on backwards, and then you can see that the kind of like U-clip was really stretched out, and this would not move at all. I was able to kind of push it out and then file down the mushroom peg a little bit and popped it back in, and you can see that this still kind of pops off pretty easily, but at least this now can move around freely, which is good. And then this is still a little stretched out. I've tried to kind of push it back together, and maybe if I rubber band it or something and let it sit overnight, but it clips on enough now that it's serviceable. But I just wanted to point that out, so I had to pop that out, file it down, put it back in correctly, and then try to squeeze the U-clip back together. But it's, you can see it's still really kind of, the problem I think is because of this lip here. It likes to get popped out of that or underneath it, and then that kind of widens it. So maybe if I leave it like this just for a while, that'll also help. But yeah, that little lip there, I don't know why that's a problem. I don't remember that ever being a problem with Scrap Hook, but I just wanted to point it out in case anybody else had similar issues, although by now you've probably all opened your copies and dealt with it. So in any case, I think that Axlegrease here looks good. Like I said before, I love the color scheme. I really think that looks cool. You have this kind of navy blue with this kind of dark purple. The silver looks fantastic. The head sculpt is a little bland. I like the visor for the eyes. And I guess this is supposed to look like a tire tread maybe here on the helmet. But it just, I don't know, maybe not painting it white. I don't know, the white just kind of stands out. Maybe a silver or something would have looked a little better there. But I love all the detailing here. The chest looks amazing. That design, the silver paint, the purple Decepticon symbol, that all looks fantastic. Articulation-wise, pretty much what we would expect given how we've had Scrap Hook and Tow Line by this point, but head can swivel from side to side. You have a swivel here in the shoulder because this can just pop right out, which I will say did make it easier when I was trying to fix it because I didn't have to worry about the body getting in the way, so that was nice. But that pegs back in there. Then you have a hinge. Then you have the bicep swivel. You have double jointed elbows. You have a wrist swivel as well. And I had a little bit of trouble with my other wrist as well, but eventually just kind of moving it around in there, it you know, got around and did what it needed to do. Waist swivel here, kick pretty far forward, kick pretty far back. If I move the arm, you can kick pretty far out to the side as well, so nice range of motion there in the hip. You have a swivel right above the knee. You have a knee bend, and of course these can pop off as well as part of the like Armorizer Junkion motif. And then down here for the feet, you have really nice ankle tilt, as well as a little front to back because of how it transforms. And then you're left with these big heels. Now I know a lot of people don't like this kind of long, flat heel because it kind of makes it feel a little hollow, even though it's really not. I don't mind it personally. At least it looks good from the front. Really nice paint and detail here for the headlights, and this kind of gunmetal gray, kind of metallic-y paint for what will be the grille of the car. I think that works really well. So overall, I love the design, with the exception of maybe a little bit of the head sculpt, but the color scheme is absolutely fantastic, so I love that as well. So I have to be careful with this arm, because when I utilize the elbow, it kind of pops below that lip, and then when I want to put it back, I have to make sure it goes back under that lip. But there we go. So we do have a ton of accessories here. So we have the smokestack pieces, which I don't believe are any different from a scrap hook. You can peg them in up here or peg them in on the wheels. For the robot mode, I kind of like to put them on the wheels. I just think that works better. So I will do that. Then you have these two pieces, which can be utilized as little blasters. It makes an engine block for the vehicle mode. So if you want, you can peg them in. Well, they might actually get, because of the blasters, like you could, with scrap hook, you could leave those pieces down there, but because of the blasters, they kind of get in the way of the toes. So maybe don't do that in the robot mode. And just have her hold the blasters. I mean, they do look pretty good, honestly. They're tiny. They're definitely very stunted, but they can use an effect piece. You can see right there. And they make for some cool little blasters. She also has these pieces for the back. You can tell that this is going to be kind of the rear of the window of the vehicle mode, but it gives her these kind of like boosters in the back. And you can have her either hold these via this peg right here, like this, which I think looks kind of dumb just because the barrel is so stunted. I think that's a little bit better. But you can peg it into this peg down here, which kind of hides the fist a little bit and kind of makes it look a little bit more like it's integrated into the arm. I mean, it's still poking out down here, but that kind of makes it look like a blaster arm. And then the directions also say you can go ahead and pop this in here if you want to give her kind of like a hook hand. So it really does kind of make it seem like they were thinking lockdown for this all along. Now this is just the hook accessory from Scrap Hook, but they're coming up with a way to kind of give a faux hook hand. So it definitely seems like the seeds for lockdown were planted all along, which is kind of funny. But I'm just going to take these off. Honestly, I probably wouldn't utilize these much in the robot mode. Technically, you could go ahead and put them on back here as well if you wanted. You could peg them in this way, or if you wanted to try to pretend like this is maybe a jetpack or something. But because of the angle, it really would just look like she's firing the jetpack into the bottom of her back there. So that doesn't really work either. So because these have to be angled for the vehicle mode, it makes them, in my opinion, not that useful in robot mode. So I would probably just stick to these tiny little engine block blasters and just go with that. But either way, it's still a cool look, and I like it. I think that works. I'm going to go ahead and bring Scrap Hook in here. So you can see the comparisons. Again, this is the same hook accessory. You're just not getting this piece of the hook there. These are the same, obviously just painted different. And then you can see that the shins are different because they went with the engine block blasters, which I think looks totally cool, and I really like that. So, you know, the chest is all remolded. The head sculpt's different. I would say, you know, everything from the waist down, with the exception of the grill area, is pretty much the same. The arms are pretty much the same. Just paint differences. You're not getting the spiky wheel. So yeah, I mean, they remolded enough. I think they did, and the vehicle mode is going to feel different, which is nice. But yeah, I like this. I think it's obviously the same mold, but it's different enough that, you know, I appreciate it, and I think they did a good job with it. let's go ahead. I'll remove all these accessories and we'll get into the transformation. So if you've transformed scrap hook before, I'm sure you're going to be very familiar with this, but we're going to go ahead and we're going to take the feet and drop them back like this, and then make sure that they're pushed in all the way, and do the same thing over here. And then you can go ahead and push the feet together, and they will snap together in several places. And there's basically the front of the car. If you want, you can go ahead and push these two pieces together. They have these two tabs on the side, so you'll push them together like that. If you want to put the engine block on now, you can. If you want to leave it till the end, that's up to you, but that is where it will end up. Then you're going to grab a hold of these shoulder pieces here. Let me zoom in a little bit so you can see these light gray shoulder pieces, and they will unhook from the body and kind of hang out at like a 45-degree angle, something like that. Like that. Come around to the back and open up these doors. They will flip open like so. And if you really like that look, I guess if you like the wing look, the wing door look, you could leave them out. It's honestly not a terrible look, but an option for you. So then you're going to bring this forward, which will allow you to rotate the head down into the backpack, which will also finish off the windshield there. Then you are going to rotate at the waist 180 degrees, bring this up, and then swivel at the waist. So you can bring this up and drop this into this section here, but do not bring the side doors down just yet. Kind of rotate these around like this. This will come down. You can see that there's a tab slot there, and there's a tab here on the back of the waist. So this will come down and snap into place there. And then this is the part that gets a little difficult, where you have to kind of bring this in and situate this. And then the arms will need to bend to about there. Rotate the fist like that. And then kind of fold this in, and you can see that there is a tab slot right there for the tab on the forearm. And that will come in and peg in like that. It's very easy to do with one arm. I find it difficult when it's time to do the second arm, and especially when this arm is a little wonky, but we'll rotate this like this. And that's why if I couldn't fix the arm, it would completely make the transformation not possible. So I'm very glad that I was able to fix that. But bring this in, this will go here, and then you have to kind of fold this in, squeeze it past the other one. Sometimes it might be easier to like bring this in and peg this in like this, and then try to peg this back in. I find that to be a little easier sometimes, but eventually you'll get there. And bring this all together, and then you can, why is this not going in all the way? There we go. I think I have this slightly, there we go. That has to go in. Then this will straighten. Anyway. Actually, do they go all the way down? Maybe they stay at an angle. This is also not pegged in over here, which is why that's giving me trouble. Yeah, see, these can only go to an angle, so I don't think these are supposed to go all the way down. I think they're supposed to stay up at an angle like that. And then get this around. So like I said, I always have trouble with this back part of the car, but once you can get it together, it's good. It's just some clearance stuff always kind of gives me issues. But there, I think that's finally good now. That should be in, that should be in. And then you can bring the doors down. There is a small tab there that this tab slot will peg into, and then there's a spot here for this little tab sticking out. So this will come down. Both of these will come down. And there we go. There is the car mode. At this point, we can take these pieces and we can drop them into these peg holes that were on the forearms, like so. Do the same with the other one. Oh, I guess these actually peg in together. All right. Take two. It wants me to peg these together, very similarly to how the engine block went. And then we can drop this on top. This is really giving me the business here. There we go. There we go. And now this doesn't want to peg in. There we go. Okay. Hopefully your copy is a little bit less finicky than mine is. I think I have issues because of the arms and things being a little off. You can see that that's still a bit of a problem there in the back, but I think we got there. Then you're going to take these exhaust pieces and just peg them on to the back here over the wheels. Like that. And then it's up to you. If you want to stash the hook somewhere, you can. If you want to just put it off to the side, you can. But there is our vehicle mode. So here is Axlegrease in vehicle mode. I think this looks really cool. I think they did a good job with this. I love the engine block here. It gives you a little bit of blasters there in the front. I love the grille here with kind of the cow catcher look. Really nice gunmetal gray and the like metallic blue for the headlights, like I pointed out earlier. And again, I feel like the color scheme just shines even more in this mode. And I think it's neat. They were able to take this and make it into a pretty cool looking car when it used to be a tow truck. Rolls decently well. The one thing I will say, I'm assuming they wanted to kind of keep the overall shape, which is why they have these angled down so far. But in terms of boosters, like, I feel like it would make the car kind of pitch up. I wish these were just straight out more. It would look better for the vehicle mode, and I also think it would work better for the robot mode, having these kind of just straight out and not at an angle, because then they would look more like blasters, or you could put them on the back as like a jetpack, something like that. So I just think having them angled straight out instead of downward would work better for like every situation. But that's a minor nitpick. Otherwise, I really like this quite a bit. And I will bring in scrap hook here so we can see the comparisons. So, I mean, there's a decent amount of remolding. You can see that the windshield is completely different. The studs, these like little pieces here, are now on the sides as opposed to the top. The engine block area is completely different. This section is completely different. If we take a look at the sides, you can see that the windows are different. Of course, these pieces are different. So when it comes to the vehicle mode, I feel like there are even more obvious differences. You know, the shape of the, like, you know, top passenger section of the car is shaped very differently. So they did remold a decent amount. And I really do feel like you can tell where it comes from, but it does feel different enough that it feels like a new toy, and I think they did a nice job with that. And I think this is going to look really cool as locked out. I mean, we've seen pictures. The color scheme for this looks really good. And I think it's going to be pretty successful. So I'm happy with it. I'm happy that I finally got around to opening this toy because I've been missing out. This is a really fun little vehicle mode. I think Axlegrease is a lot of fun. I think it's a really nice remold / repaint of a pretty fun mold to begin with. I mean, we've seen tons of use of the scrap hook mold, but at least this one feels different enough. There's a lot of remolding. I pointed out everything that's been changed, and it really does feel like a significant amount to kind of make it feel like a separate figure. Now, of course, there's some things there that you can tell where this mold came from, but I do feel like it's different enough, and I absolutely love the color scheme. I think that's so cool. It's also fun to get a female Decepticon junkie on, and I know people have been kind of building things with Trashmaster and making the like giant T-Rex. I do think it's a little weird to have like a different faction in the combination, because, I mean, they kind of did the same thing to us back when Combiner Wars first started by giving us, you know, most of the Stunticons and then one aerial bot, and it was like, why would, you know, a combiner have one different faction member? Like, that doesn't make any sense. So, but from just the perspective of, you know, getting a cool female Decepticon character, I think this is really great, and I love the mold, and I think it's going to look really good as Lockdown, so I'm really excited for that coming up. But yeah, sorry it took so long to get the review out for this one, but let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Please like, share, and subscribe. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and as always, thanks so much for watching.